Hello YouTube, I'm here to talk about the extremism and nationalism that is sweeping the world at this very moment. In England there seems to be a current fervour for nationalism and overzealous patriotism, especially in the forms of those immigration vans that tell people that even though you are here in England as a citizen, you are no longer wanted or needed. This is just another way on how throughout many centuries mankind has subjugated people to further the aims and goals of a very select few group of individuals. And I am sick of it, to be honest with you. I understand that illegal immigrants are breaking the law and what have you, but we shouldn't do it in such a vulgar and crass way. This will just cause divisions between societies that are already apart from one another, furthering racial and religious tensions in Britain, similar to the race riots of the 70s and 80s here in England. But it's not just in England where overzealous patriotism reigns. It's also in America as well, where God is the supreme commander-in-chief, and that the American forefathers are the best thing since sliced bread. But in actuality, the founding fathers of America are nothing more than terrorists, because they stole the land from the Native Americans. They stole and subjugated it and built the American empire on the blood, sweat and tears of the Native American peoples. And in the American Constitution, it clearly states that no other American-born citizen can stand for the office of Commander-in-Chief and President of the United States. By that logic, one could assume that all the American presidents from the founding fathers should technically be barred from office because they are not native to the American soil. And ever since George Washington founded these states and made America cut away from Britain, the office of the president has been always to serve the interests of business and industry and those higher powers. And the founding fathers themselves were not religious. In fact, they were agnostic atheists who believed in the freedom of speech and belief of all other individuals. I would love to see at the 2016 election a Native American candidate put himself forward for the presidency. It would be even more of an achievement than Barack Obama being the first mixed race president, because his parents were a Kenyan man and a British Irish woman of descent. And it's not just in America where nationalism has uprooted itself, spreading lies and deceit like a gnarled great oak on society. Oh no! It's Japan as well, the land of the rising sun. The Liberal Democrats of Japan, which is like a more virulently extreme version of our coalition government here in England, intermixed with UKIP's policies and the BNP's, seems to have a distrust and dislike of anybody not of Japanese descent. And I know I may sound a bit prejudiced when I say this, but why do Japanese hate other Asian people, like Koreans, the Chinese, and the Vietnamese and any other sort of Asian. I know China and Japan and Korea have wars in the past, but surely they have reached a point where they could settle their differences, and they do look alike. And recently, Hayo Miyakzi of Studio Ghibli and the famous Japanese author Murakami have also openly criticised the zealous nature of Japanese patriotism, because I fear that Shinzo Abe, that's the Japanese Prime Minister, if you weren't already aware, and his bumbling, chubby Chancellor, Taro Aso, who is a Japanese Catholic, one of a few Japanese Catholics that are in Japan, whose statements of denial of the Japanese torture and the use of comfort women by soldiers during General MacArthur's occupation of Japan from post-1945, and the abolition of Article 9, which states that Japan will not interfere in the affairs and warfares of other nations, is quite sad, because that Article 9 enshrines further peacekeeping ideals than most of the world's nations have done thus far in their entire histories. And the only reason why Japan is rearming itself is to feel good about itself, to make itself look more macho on the world stage. And I fear that Japan will get into a war with China over those little islands off the coast of Japan, which are like the Japanese Falkland Islands. And I feel like Shinzo Abe, with his populist patriotism and veritable nationalist tendencies, is trying to bolster himself as Japan's Margaret Thatcher. And I just feel that we as human beings, who have essentially been a nomadic race since we've learnt to walk as bipedal beings, should not be critical of others who want to make lives better for themselves. Goodbye, I hope you like my views.